More than 2 months ago, on March 23, a Russian Zala 421-04M UAV was shot down over one of the districts in Kiev, which was conducting reconnaissance. At first glance, nothing unusual. An enemy UAV was barraging over the territory of the capital and spying, which resulted in its hard landing. Nothing unusual, except for the fact that these UAVs were used not so much by the structures of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation as by the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Russia to monitor the territory in the area of Baikonur, Kazakhstan, as well as the Ministry of Emergency Situations of the Russian Federation. At the end of May, information appeared that the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation began to withdraw UAVs from other Russian law enforcement agencies for their needs. In particular, the main donor of drones for the military was the Ministry of Emergency Situations. It would seem that literally in November 2021, Russian President Vladimir Putin declared with undisguised pathos that 2,000 UAVs were in service with the armed forces of the Russian Federation. But if the armed forces of the Russian Federation had 2,000 UAVs in service last year, why is the armed forces of the Russian Federation now withdrawing UAVs from other structures for their needs? The fact is that according to the data of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, since February 24, 2022, 551 Russian UAVs of various modifications have been shot down in Ukraine. It would seem that, taking into account the announced 2,000, the number is not critical to thoroughly undermine the capabilities of the Russian occupation army. But it just didn't seem at first glance. Firstly, the Russian production of UAVs, of any model, depends entirely on the supply of foreign components. To date, no Russian UAV is produced in a closed-loop mode from exclusively Russian components. That is, taking into account the current sanctions, every Russian UAV destroyed in Ukraine is, in fact, an irretrievable loss. Secondly, yesterday I already gave an example of how the tank potential of the Russian army turned out to be a little more inflated than it even seemed at first glance. Obviously, there were no 2,000 UAVs in service with the Russian army in November 2021. There was a much smaller number of these devices, and this figure, apparently, is taken from the total number of drones used in Russian law enforcement agencies. It is for this reason that the Russian military are forced to borrow their UAVs from other structures, because their own ended in less than 3 months of a full-scale war. 2,000 UAVs? Well, yes, just like 2,700 combat-ready tanks.